Happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome back to our summer series, Summertime and the Eating is Easy. This is the last class of the series, so sad, but I will see you again in the fall. But today's recipe is a great one. So we're going a little off schedule because, I don't know what I want to say. We're going a little bit off of what I had been saying about this series. I wanted to make it fun, light, easy. We don't want to spend a lot of time in our kitchen, but I felt like we needed to have a dessert. And if you all are fans of just something kind of summery and fun but easy, this is the recipe. However, you do have to turn on your oven for it. But I say bake it in the morning, and then you'll be good to go. So we're doing a summer fruit crisp because we have a lot of great stone fruit out there right now. I don't buy cherries until end of July, and they have to come from Yakima, Washington, because that is the best place to get cherries from. So look for that. But in addition to that, no cherries today. We have nectarines and peaches. I just have regular peaches that we're going to use, but there are beautiful white peaches out there. I saw something the other day. It was called nectar pink. So I don't know what it's a cross of, but ladies, do some research, maybe try some. I didn't buy any, but I was kind of intrigued by that. So anyway, we've got a great summer fruit crisp recipe that we're going to make, and then we're going to talk a little bit about antioxidants, I think is on the table for today. Antioxidants and doing balanced desserts. So has anybody done a fruit crisp before? Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. Yeah. This is really kind of, if you're not into baking a lot, if you're not into the whole like science of baking and cakes and things like that, although I know Dorian's a good baker, so you can do one of these because it's basically sauteed fruit with some crumble on top. That's pretty much it. So what we're going to do today is somebody gave me a suggestion last time about using lemon thyme, and we have time. The lemon is coming because you cannot usually find lemon thyme at the store. Sometimes you can, but you can usually find regular thyme. I will tell you that this particular brand, which is the only option that we have at our supermarket, H-E-B, is kind of crazy. So it's not the kind that's a little bit drier where you can just easily take the leaves off the stem. But that's okay. It's great. We're going to throw the whole bunch in there. This is wonderful with fruit. I don't know if it looks crazy, but this is kind of a common thing. If you think about pairings, right? If you think about tomatoes and basil, like certain things just go together. Stone fruit, any kind of stone fruit, and thyme, classic. So that's the little twist for today that we have. But we're going to start by cutting up some of our fruit. We also have blueberries, which are great right now. I've had some that are super sweet, so we've got a little bit of blueberry for some color. We're going to add that in at the end though, because they're a little more fragile, so we don't want them to burst and do all that fun stuff and color the fruit that we're going to saute. So what we're going to do is basically just dice our stone fruit, and one of the easiest ways that I like to do that, because you can't really just cut it in half and twist it. It's harder. There are some peaches, for example, that are called freestone peaches, where you can easily just kind of twist the fruit off the seed in the middle. These are not that. So this is actually a nectarine. When you're choosing fruit at the store, especially for a crisp, you could get some that are ripe and they're soft and they smell like what they should smell like, right? But I actually prefer to get them a little more firm, and actually that's kind of what you're going to find right now. So this is almost like a baseball size. It's about a pound and a half of each. So here's my nectarine, here's my peach. They look similar, right? Color on the outside is the same, but nectarines tend to have, I would say they're a little more firm, and then peaches have kind of more of that granular, kind of softer texture on the inside once we cut it. So I'll show you that when we do that. So, if you go to the store and you're like, I don't really want to buy these peaches because they're not ripe, this is the best recipe to make them in, because they hold up really well, because we're going to cook them a little bit and then we're going to throw them in the oven too, right? So they're going to break down, but we want all of that, because if you see in the picture, like there's all this nice juiciness to it. It's something that you can enjoy warm, although today the sample I have for you already made is cold, which I kind of like to eat it cold because I'll throw some yogurt on top and maybe a little more like jam or something. It's so good. This is one of my favorite recipes to do in the summer. And you can use any kind of fruit, really. So what I'm going to do to kind of make my life easy is I'm going to put my fruit just like that and cut around the seed on both sides, just like that. Oh, I hit the seed there. It's kind of like with mangoes. Sometimes you can do the same thing, right? But we're going to just do a little bit of this and that. Oh, forgot my trash can. Today is one of those days, but that's okay. Okay, so I'm just going to dice this into fairly relatively similar size chunks, something like this. And we'll do the same thing with all of the fruit. And then the berries, like I said, we'll just add those at the end. So for those of you who have made a fruit crisp, or those of you who are watching this recipe now and getting inspired, what other things would you put in there if you didn't want to do peaches and nectarines? There's a lot of stuff. Apple crisp is a classic, yeah. Pears is a good one, yeah. Oh my goodness, figs would be great. Does anybody have a fig tree here? Yes. Yeah, my neighbor had a fig tree, and for some reason she cut it way back, but before she did that, my mother was out there getting some figs. She's like, yeah, take all you want, which was cool because they were really delicious. And so, yeah, there were the kind of like the nice yellow with the pink on the inside. So good.
We pair the figs with pears and figs to make.
You could, yeah. I think that would be great. And even in the winter, when you can sometimes find fresh figs, you could also use dried, and that would work just as well too. Okay, so I'll do the same thing with this peach. Now you'll see this peach definitely is not ripe. The color is a little bit lighter, right? And if you see, like I'll cut this other nectarine so you can see the difference. Similar in color, they look kind of the same, but if you look at the texture, this one's definitely like a lot more, I don't know, I'd say this one has probably more water content than this one because this looks a little drier. Mm-hmm. But together, they are primo, so mix and match. Plums are also, there's tons of plums out right now. When I was growing up in the Midwest, we had what was called Italian plums. Has anybody had those? Yeah. They're delicious, and they kind of grow wild, I think, because I was in Washington a couple summers ago and was just walking down the street, and there was a bunch of trees that nobody was paying attention to, so I got a bunch of plums that summer. Yeah, they're delicious. So plums, there's also something I've seen, they look like little cherries, but they're plums. Have you all tried those?
Yes.
I forget what they're called, but they're, yeah, if you get some good ones, they're delicious. Yeah, so this is really a recipe that's very versatile. It does require some baking, although as I was doing a little research, I wanted to do this recipe without having to turn on the oven, and somebody beat me to it and came up with the recipe. And what they did, if you wanted to do this version, was they kind of did like a parfait. So they took some of the crumble topping and they just toasted it in a skillet. So you could take like the oats, maybe some almonds or some kind of nut, and just you could add cinnamon or whatever, spices, and then just toast that all in a skillet and put that on top. That's not as much fun for me. The secret ingredient here, we're talking nutrition as well, right? So this is great because it has fruit. It also has grains, so we've got our oats that are going to be in the crumble topping. The secret ingredient really is the butter, which is also coming. And, I do use a whole stick. Sometimes these things are warranted, and I'm not going to skimp. So this is one where, just have a small portion if you're watching your calories. But fat is something that we do need in our diet. And so definitely what we're going to use to saute this is unsalted butter. And I'll do 2 tablespoons, and then the remaining tablespoons I will use for the crumble topping. And really to get the nice ratio of kind of that nice chunkiness of the topping to the fruit, you need enough of the oats and the flour, and there's a little brown sugar, and then the butter to kind of hold that all together. So there is a method to my madness, and the butter is one of those ingredients. All right, so I got one more peach to cut up, but as you see, you know, the color is pretty similar in both. I like all of these flavors coming together, and the thyme is also kind of a secret, because you could do this if you're like, Raquel, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not going to put herbs in my fruit. You could do it without. It would be just as good. I think the secret too is to make sure that you let it simmer for a little bit. So we're going to do that in this skillet in a minute here. But I'm also going to add this nice whole cinnamon stick to just kind of add some more flavor. If you didn't have that, you could just add regular ground cinnamon. That would work just as well. We're actually going to also add some ground cinnamon to the crumble topping. So cinnamon in a couple of places, just to bring more flavor to this recipe. Any other spices you guys would recommend?
Nutmeg.
Nutmeg is good, yep. That would be great with the pear and the fig.
Or like allspice, but not too much.
Yeah. Even like a pumpkin spice. Ooh, cardamom would be great. I thought about putting ginger in here, but I was like, ginger's a little more.
They're dried.
Actually fresh, because I had some. And I was like, nah. Yeah, but that would also, I think ginger is more of what I consider kind of a spicy warming spice. So I tend to do that more in the winter. And so the pear combination, or even apples, that would be great with. People have also done crisps with things that are not fruit, like potatoes, because they have such a neutral flavor. So I suppose you could do that. Okay. All right, so when it gets here, I'm going to add the butter, but in the meantime, I'm going to just put this in there so we can get this cooking. But it would be 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter. Just let that melt for a little bit. And then we'll add the fruit. So all of that goes in, along with our cinnamon stick. And we're going to add a 1/4 cup of water, just to kind of help that simmer. We'll also add this whole package. This is about 1/4 or 1/2 an ounce, I should say, of thyme. And I'm just going to, you could put it, like wrap it in some cheesecloth if you didn't want it to get messy, but I kind of do, and it really doesn't, like, it's pretty compact. It'll stay like that. And then we're not going to bake it with that. We're just going to let it sort of infuse the mixture as we're cooking that. And then we want also a couple tablespoons, so 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. And I'm laughing. I'll tell you guys later off camera why.
Is that light or dark brown sugar?
This is, it says it's dark, but it looks pretty light to me.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. H-E-B has switched it up once again on brown sugar brands. Mm-hmm. This is one called, I think it's called Morena, which is like dark in Spanish. The other thing I do is add a little pinch of salt and 2 teaspoons of vanilla are going to go in here. Okay, so I'm just going to give that a little bit of a stir. And I think maybe, I don't know, a good 5-8 minutes. Thank you. Just to let this cook down a bit. So I'm going to set that here. The other thing we're going to add, we got our butter here, is that 2 tablespoons of butter.
What would you use instead of butter if someone has to really watch, like kind of their salt intake?
Just do it without. Just, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and don't add the pinch of salt. I do that mostly because of the salt helps bring out the sweet.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see it both in the sauteed fruit, but also in the crumble. But we're just going to let that sit for a little bit. I'm going to put the lid on it. let that hang out and do its thing. Okay. The other thing I want to do, where's my water? Shoot. The recipe is a little bit different, but we're doing it this way today. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, with our zester, our microplane zester, we just want the zest off the lemon, and then I'm gonna juice it into this cup. Now, if you wanted to, you could hold off adding the water and then just add this all together, but what I like to do is add the cornstarch to this liquid. And you didn't even have to, if you didn't want to, or you were like, I don't really want to buy cornstarch, just to use 1 teaspoon, I'll never use it again, which is sometimes the case. This fruit will, with the butter and the little bit of sugar that's in there, if you simmer it down, cook it down long enough, it'll thicken. So I just added it just to kind of help thicken it a little bit more. But get some of this nice zest off of this lemon. It smells great. So here is the lemon component of our lemon thyme. Ruthie, that was the request. Challenge accepted. I was like, I'm coming up with something with thyme. Do you grow lemon thyme in your garden?
When I have a garden, I do. I grow like 4 or 5 different kinds of thyme, like 6 kinds of basil.
Oh,
like
wow.
Thai basil.
Okay,
when I have a
great.
garden, I don't fool around with my herbs.
Yeah,
I
that's
do like
awesome.
the different kind of chives, the garlic.
Oh, that's so
And
great.
even though I can't eat it now, I used to do garlic. So like basil, so you have global basil, regular basil, Thai basil, where it's got the purple and the little.
Yeah.
I would do like 5 or 6 kind of basils. And then I worked in an automotive in GM. I was like a contractor, and everybody loved me because when I would have these big gardens, but I didn't need it all, but I'd dry some for like winter or whatever I wanted to use, and I'd go out fresh, like on a Thursday, and I tell everybody, Friday I'm bringing, herbs.
Wow.
So Creek would go out Thursday, because there's no way I'm going out in the morning before 3 o'clock in the morning to get
Oh my goodness.
And I would like cut them off and then put, wrap it with like a napkin at the bottom to keep them fresh.
Yeah.
And then I would take them in, and people would either pre-order them, and I gave it away. But they'd say, like, some of the guys who would grill, and would grill at the plant for people, I'd say, Dave, what do you want? And he'd tell me I'd say, this is what I got. What do you want? He's like, I want everything. I'm like, okay.
That's
so
awesome.
I have the Dave grocery bag full of stuff. And then the others for other people, if somebody asked for it, I put their name on whatever baggies and put them in bags. And then whatever was left over, I had a sign in my window that said herbs here. So people would come pick up their herbs. And even Dave.
You're the herb
and then
lady.
Dave would come back at the end of the day, the shift, he'd say, hey, is there any left over? It's like, get whatever you want. And then he would take the other stuff.
That's
And
so great.
I still had more than enough to do that like 3 or 4 times during the summer and the fall.
Wow.
Because I just grew them. It was just fun, and I would go out and cut them.
Did you have like a greenhouse, or they were outdoors?
No, these were outdoors. I was
That's
in
great.
Missouri.
Oh,
and
okay.
I had my biggest garden,
Okay.
so I'd have like flower beds all over in the privacy fence in the backyard.
Wow.
The bees loved it. I'd have flowers.
Oh, the
for
bees, I'm sure, yeah.
hummingbirds. Yeah.
That's great. Wow, I love that.
My grandmother had a green thumb, and I just got it.
You got, yeah.
And my one sister does too.
That's wonderful. Yeah, if you can grow your own stuff, it really is. It's really nice. I mean, because it just tastes different. Stuff just tastes
It
different.
does. Well, I challenge you to Thai basil.
Oh, well, we used some actually last the watermelon salad that we started with, because I couldn't find the regular stuff, and that's all they had, and I think it worked. And lemon thyme. Lemon thyme is one of my favorites when I see it. Actually, there's a chocolate thyme, I believe,
Yes.
too, right?
It's great.
Or is it chocolate mint? Maybe both.
Chocolate mint is like a peppermint.
Yes.
You can get that as a peppermint plant too. It's a little more intense flavor.
Yeah. It's great when you can find that, but if you can grow it, that's wonderful.
Yes.
Things like, I have rosemary and lavender right now. And my rosemary, sadly, when we had that cold snap, I did not bring it in. I thought, that's pretty hardy. And it kind of came back, but not entirely. So I was a little sad about that. Sorry, guys. What I just did, lemon zest, lemon juice, and then the teaspoon of cornstarch. I'm just going to give that a quick little mix here. Thanks for sharing that, Ruthie. I love that. Anytime people grow stuff, I just think that's such a, it's a hobby for sure, but it's one that's just so great for, I think, it's like a meditation, because you have to take care of things, you have to tend to it, but then you see all the beauty in it, right? You see all the life that comes with it, the hummingbirds, the bees, all of that. It's
Right.
just, yeah, it's very therapeutic.
And I had cardinals and they would nest in the spring.
Oh, wow.
So I have to be real careful and wear like a hard hat, so I can water my plants in the spring, because they always nest, right? And so they dive bomb you while they have nestlings. I got pictures and I have videos where you document it. These birds chasing me in my own garden.
It's crazy. But yes, cardinals they're feisty. I have 2 blue jays right now that my mom is obsessed with because she didn't know what they were. And I was like, oh, they're blue jays. You can hear them. And they just kind of came, like, we didn't have them last year, so I'm not sure if they're lost. But she'll put out, like, seeds and bread and stuff to feed the birds. And we have tons of cardinals all the time. But the blue jays, I love them. They're beautiful, and they're noisy. But she's like, these birds are really mean. And I said, well, so are the cardinals. So are the cardinals. Okay, I'm gonna let that simmer just a little bit, but it's smelling great, it's looking perfect. What I wanted to do, so the remaining butter we're gonna cut up, and then I'll show you how to do the crumble in just a second here. And then we will put it all together. Okay, so for this unsalted butter, what I like to do, you know, cooking, it's great when you can get in there with your hands. I highly recommend it. That's also very therapeutic. So I would say if you have opportunity to do that, or maybe you've got kiddos or grandkiddos, this is a fun one to make with them as well because it's not a lot to it. There's a little bit of cooking, but not a ton. So what you would want to do also is preheat your oven to 350. And I like to, not that it will spill over, but I always put like a baking tray underneath my pan. So I'm using one of these bigger lasagna pans. We're going to pour that into. I like that I had 1 bowl for everything. So what we're going to do is add 1.5 cups. I like these larger old-fashioned oats, so make sure you get those. There are actually the ones that I have. I'll show you really quick. Say extra thick. I didn't realize that when I bought it until I saw it yesterday. And I was like, oh, I didn't know they made an extra thick. The bigger the better I like when it comes to these rolled oats. So if you can find that, if not, the regular old-fashioned oats works just well. We're going to add half a cup, right? Half a cup of flour, just regular all-purpose flour. And then we're also going to add half a cup of brown sugar because we need a little bit of sweet in there. We're going to add the teaspoon of cinnamon, our little pinch of salt, and then the butter. So before I add the butter, I kind of just like to take my hand and give it a mix so that we have all of the dry stuff incorporated pretty well, just like so. I want to thank my friend Dee, who is a diva, who gave me this for Christmas last year. It's the perfect size and it works well for this. So thanks, Dee. And then I just add in the chunks of butter. So see how I've just kind of cubed them a little bit. Now, if you had 2 forks and you didn't want to get your hands messy, you could just take 2 forks and break this butter down into the dry ingredients here. Or if you have a pastry cutter, that kind of operates like the forks. But I really like to get in there with my hands. And the butter is cold, so your hands will warm that up fairly quickly. And I just get in there. I have gloves on, so it makes it easier to. And just get in there and just crumble it up as best as you can. You want to leave some chunks because that's the good part. That basically forms that nice crisp topping. So when I did the first batch, I just kind of eyeballed it and I was like, something seems off. And again, I was thinking nutrition. So you'll see on here, it says unbalanced. Well, yeah, because there's butter in here and there's some sugar and there's some salt. But yes, in the summer, we're more active sometimes, right? So sometimes we need at the end of a very active day to come home to something like this, and that's okay. There are a lot of birthdays in the summer, I've noticed also too. This is a great one. You know, if people don't really like heavy cakes and things like that, this is a fun one for the summer. So, but yeah, you can just use your hands. I'm going to do it a little bit more because I like to have chunks, but I also like to have this, like I try to get way down into the bottom of it so I don't have too much that's loose, like kind of sand. But you want kind of an equal distribution of the crumble to the fruit. And so the last thing we're going to do is enjoy some tunes. Thank you. That was like the drum roll, but with I'm going to add those blueberries. So once I finish this up to my liking, it's almost there. That butter was a little cold.
Now, if someone is gluten intolerant,
Ah.
or has like celiac or something like that, what could they do instead of oats?
That's a great idea. What could they do instead of oats? I would probably say if gluten and not a nut thing, maybe just a toasted nut, just so you have some kind of texture.
You could cut it up so it's finer
Mhm,
to do
yeah.
a crumble?
Yeah, I would say maybe take some almonds, like whole almonds, toast them a little bit, and then just chop them up and put that on top. So that would be one where you wouldn't even have to put it in the oven, right? Because you're basically cooking the fruit here. And then you could do it like a little parfait and just to have something crunchy on top. Because, I mean, there are gluten-free flours, but the oats, I have done gluten-free things with, there's one Bob's Red Mill that says gluten-free on it.
Right.
But some people are even sensitive to that, especially I don't mess around when people have like celiac disease or things like that where they really should not be doing, taking any chances like that. So, okay, I'm going to take.
Use rice flour?
You could, but it's pretty sandy, so I don't think you'd get quite the right texture.
Unless it was puffed rice.
Puffed rice could be interesting. Yeah, that could, maybe. That's a thought. Give it a try, experiment. Let me know how it turns out. It could be. Okay, I'm gonna give this another stir. Ooh, yeah, that looks great. Wonderful. Look at this, ladies. How about that? Beautiful. Okay, so I'm gonna just turn this down and then add in that cornstarch, right, our slurry. I don't know what happened to my spoon, but I'm gonna do this. And what am I missing? The blueberries. Okay, so we're gonna add these blueberries in. Oh, actually, before you do that, just FYI, take out your thyme. That's why I had my tongs here. So just remove your little bundle of thyme because you've now infused your fruit with that. That smells so good. I mean, you could just eat that just like that without the topping if you were, again, watching your diet, or maybe if you had those gluten, issues. Okay, I'll call that. But this looks wonderful. Okay, I'm also going to take out that cinnamon stick. Yummy. All right, so to assemble, you don't even have to grease the pan because the fruit's going to keep things nice and moist. But we are going to take our fruit and just pour that into the bottom. It smells really good. Yeah, sometimes I like to, if I have a lot of fruit because I got, excited at the store and I'm like, I can't eat through all of this, I will do something like this and then just put it over my yogurt during the week just to kind of have something fun and seasonal. Missed a couple. Okay. All right, there we go. So that looks like that. And then for the final thing is our topping. And you want to do a nice distribution all across. Get the corners. Really super easy. Like I said, get some helpers in the kitchen and it's even faster. But you see how we have these nice clumps of the butter. You want to distribute that. Push that to the edges just so that every spoonful that you get has a nice bit of that crisp topping. That really is my favorite. And when you get the ratio, so I was starting to tell you, sorry, I got distracted. The story was when I was doing the original recipe, I had a smaller pan. And I was like, oh yeah, you can put it in like the half size of this. It still tasted great, but all the blueberries, the color rose to the top, and so my whole top was purple. And I was like, "Aw, wah wah." But I was like, Raquel, come on, use a bigger pan. It's cool because this is something you'll want to really eat throughout. Like I can eat this for breakfast, and you can share it. Go to a summer barbecue and take this with you. It is great, room temp. It's wonderful when it comes out of the oven. Let it cool a little bit. The samples you have, I made yesterday, and so they've had some time to sit in the fridge, but they're still delicious. I like to eat it cold, like I said, with some yogurt. But that's pretty much it. So you'll put it in a 350 oven, bake it for about an hour. So again, put it in early in the morning before your house has a chance to heat up. We got AC here. I'm back with my AC, so I love that. This would not have been a fun recipe to do when I did not have AC. But yeah, so, and then once you pull it out of the oven, just let it cool for a little bit. This is also great with some vanilla ice cream.
Oh, yeah.
Just, enjoy as is. Make this your own. It is a wonderful recipe. It is a fun one. It's very easy. It's very seasonal. And I felt like we needed to end on kind of a dessert note. So, yeah. Pecans. Yeah, you could definitely mix some nuts into the crumble. I thought about that too, but I was like, we'll keep it easy. So that will get baked off later. But samples are coming around, so you guys can give that a try. And as you are enjoying, we will transition over to our nutrition. Thank you. Shout out to my grocery fairy who saved the day. Because it just would not have been the same without. Okay. So let's see. What do we have for nutrition? Antioxidants. Yes. So we were talking about how do we, find ways to incorporate nutrition as we're enjoying all these summer delicious things. And antioxidants is a pretty easy one to get in our food, especially things like, fresh seasonal things like our berries and things like that. So let's have a look here. So antioxidants, they're found in the foods that we eat, or you can also get them in supplements, right? Maybe some of you are taking supplement form. They basically help protect our cells, and they prevent oxidative stress, which is important to remember because that stress in our cells has been linked to aging and chronic diseases like heart disease, cancer, and Alzheimer's and diabetes. So anything that we can do, especially when it comes to food, that can help boost the way that our cells work is a good thing. Many summer foods are rich in antioxidants and can help during times of extreme sun and heat exposure. Because during those times, if you think about it, our cells are getting overheated, they're getting overworked, right? Because the climate is different. So whatever we can do to protect that, that's great. So some of the antioxidants that you might be familiar with, vitamin C and E, they're found in fruits, vegetables, nuts, and oils. I'm going to mispronounce this, but I think it's carotenoids. So think of like your beta carotene in carrots, lycopene in tomatoes, the red things, watermelon. We did that delicious watermelon salad at the top of the series. And polyphenols. So if anybody is here is a fan of green tea, there's great polyphenols in that. Also can be found in cocoa, like chocolate, cocoa powder, and blueberries, which we have here. Yay. You can also find it in cinnamon, which we also have in this recipe. Fantastic. So you got 2 in 1, just in one recipe. So the important thing to know, in addition to making sure that you're getting some of these things from the food or supplements, is that cooking will also affect how antioxidants perform in your body. And so you can transform antioxidants when you do different cooking methods. So it's kind of helpful to know what's going to help boost those antioxidants, which things you have to be careful for because it can either decrease or not easily absorb. So if you think about heat, some antioxidants become more available after cooking due to the heat breaking down the cell walls and releasing pigments. So for example, lycopene in tomatoes increases 2 to 3 times when they're simmered or roasted. So think about like pasta sauces, right? Tomato sauces, that's a good thing. That works for lycopene. But adversely, some antioxidants are fragile and they can be degraded with heat. So vitamin C is one of those, and it decreases with boiling or long simmering. So we had some vitamin C in here from the lemon, right? We just simmered this for a little bit. It's going to go into the oven though, so it's got some heat exposure. So that would be one where we want to just watch that. The polyphenols in tea can also degrade if the water is too hot or if you steep it for too long. So remember that. Fat. So fat, many antioxidants benefit from being cooked in oil to help boost the absorption. So the fat kind of helps carry that. So think again of that tomato sauce cooked in olive oil. Oftentimes you'll see that and you'll be like, why are they adding more oil after they saute the stuff or make the tomato sauce? Because it's helping to kind of carry a lot of that nutrition. Sauteing. So sauteing preserves antioxidants because it adds fat. You know, we sauteed in butter today, and then it boosts the absorption. Steaming or raw. So that's great because it's gentle heat, right? Or no heat. You're just straight cooking it or enjoying it, consuming it as is. So that would be great, for example, for something like vitamin C that's a little more fragile. Roasting is good for carotenoids because it helps break down the plant cell walls and concentrates flavor over longer cooking times, and often with fat to help boost absorption. So you think about roasting carrots with a roast, right? You put a big chunk of meat in the oven and you throw some carrots and potatoes or whatever in there. That's great for the beta carotene in those carrots. But yes, so think about next time, maybe as you're baking or cooking or whatever you're doing in the summer, antioxidants, we love them. We love to have them in whatever food form, but you can also get them in supplement form. But just remember that certain cooking techniques and applications can affect whether you get more absorption of them and more benefit ultimately from them, or you're kind of degrading, breaking them down a little bit with the cooking technique that you use. And on a final note, you all are pretty quiet, so I'm hoping that's a good sign. Balanced desserts. So summer is really kind of one of my favorite times for eating things dessert-wise. I have noticed as I've gotten older, I really don't have as much of a sweet tooth as I used to. I'm more now towards the savory, salty side. But I do love in the summer something like this because it showcases the seasonality of what's available, which I also love. It's going to be less expensive, right? Because everything's in season, although relatively everything's expensive at the store now. But you can find some things that are in season, and sometimes we just, those things are sold in larger quantities, or maybe you're a Costco or a Sam's, member, and you're like, what am I going to do with all these peaches? There's your recipe right there. So keeping desserts simple is pretty simple. It's pretty simple. So summer is when many fruits are in their peak. And so they can be enjoyed raw and natural. So watermelon, like we did that salad, didn't do any cooking to it, just enjoyed it, kind of made it the star of the recipe. Melons, stone fruit, and berries pack a lot of nutrition on their own. And so when you incorporate them into desserts with spices or whole grains, like we did today, they don't require a lot of sugar to be enjoyed. Now, we did add some sugar here, but not a ton. If you find a fruit crisp recipe online, it's probably going to have about a cup of sugar in that crumble, which I think is unnecessary. So doing just a half a cup and throwing a little bit into the fruit that we sauteed, or if you wanted to, you could just leave that out too. Could you use honey instead of brown sugar in that part? Yes, absolutely. Agave, whatever, it's all sugar, right? Regular white sugar, I think brown sugar lends a little more flavor, but if you needed to watch that and you didn't want to do that, you could leave it out. Now, what could you do for the crumble part if you didn't want to add the sugar? I don't know that I would recommend something like monk fruit because you wouldn't quite get the texture or the flavor. Yeah, Dorian's agreeing with me, I can say. So some things just are meant to be enjoyed as is. And so enjoy, summer pies, the fruit crisp, the muffins, quick breads. You can just chop up fruit, put it together in a beautiful fruit salad like you see in this little graphic here. And I like to do, if you can find it, or just make it, get some regular plain yogurt, add a little bit of honey to it, and put a dollop of that instead of the ice cream if you didn't want to do that. I did enjoy some of this the other morning with some yogurt and then the little fruit that comes with my yogurt, and it was primo. So this is the end of our series. Hopefully this is a good way to wrap everything up. I see a lot of empty cups, so hopefully that's a plus. It is kind of a nice way to wrap things up, to say I hope you all find some inspiration to go out and enjoy some summer fruits and veggies, and keeping in mind, the nutrition element of it, because we tend to be a little more, active in the summer, but we also still need to stay hydrated and keep that nutrition up. So recipes like this. We did the watermelon salad, that delicious potato salad, and this dessert hopefully will give you some ideas for the rest of the summer. So enjoy the summer with your families, take good care of yourselves, and we'll see you back in the fall. All right, thanks.